Hi guys, it's your girl Sin and Z, and we're back with another one for you today. Today we're checking out World War II. We're going into World War II on this channel, and this one is the emergence of Nazism and the Holocaust, the Jewish story, and we're getting this one from Unpacked. So come on in and let's learn something together. Now, guys, I've already did this one on Island Girls Have Flow. CNZ is a separate channel. She has never seen it before, so we're going to get right into it. Now, I need to say this before I start. The reason why we pause our video is because we have to get our thoughts out. Because if we don't do that, we don't remember half of the stuff that we want to say in that moment to save it to the end. So bear with us. With that said, we're going to get right into this video. So come on in and learn something with us as well. And let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Here we go.
In the first half of the 20th century, Germany was the preeminent intellectual and cultural capital of the world, and Jews were well-integrated citizens. The emergence of Nazism and its leader, Adolf Hitler, changed Europe and led to the greatest destruction that the Jewish people have ever faced, the Holocaust. During the 1920s and 1930s, despite continuing anti-Semitism and occasional pogroms, Jewish communities were a large component of European society. Cities, villages, and towns across Europe boasted significant Jewish populations. In Germany, Jews were leading academics, artists, and politicians, as well as teachers, doctors, farmers, and shopkeepers. During this time, a fringe political movement began gaining ground in Germany, promoting an extremely racist nationalism. They were called the National Socialist Workers' Party, or Nazis, and their leader was a man named Adolf Hitler. Anti-Semitism was foundational to their ideology. In his infamous book Mein Kampf, Hitler called the Jewish people a noxious bacillus that lives as a parasite in the body of other nations.
Can you imagine that? Calling somebody parasite.
That's disgusting.
Once I really am in power, Hitler declared in 1922, my first and foremost task will be the annihilation of the Jews. In spite of rising support, Hitler and the Nazis initially failed to gain much ground in German parliament. It was not until after the economic collapse of 1929 that the party began to gain real political power. Social turmoil and strife led to a polarized and unstable political climate, and very quickly the Nazi Party became the largest faction in the Reichstag. In January of 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. 1 month later, the Nazis claimed that a fire at the Reichstag was started by communists planning an insurrection and used the fear of a communist takeover to abolish constitutional protections. Shortly thereafter, Hitler was given the right to govern without the consent of parliament, effectively establishing a Nazi dictatorship in Germany. On September 15, 1935, the Nazis passed a series of notoriously racist laws called the Nuremberg Laws, which stripped Jews of their German citizenship, removed all of their political rights, and legally institutionalized their persecution.
Ooh. What did you realize there?
They really took all their rights away. I remember in school, learning about it. It's the Holocaust it's a heavy subject. It's heavy. A lot goes into it. It's very emotional, but it's important. We got to learn our history. I know what happened in the past, but we have to know our history, know what happened. So it's a heavy one. It really is.
You see, I watched this, like I said, a month ago, but I noticed something. They said he forcefully take office. Mm-hmm. That bypassed me the last time. Because the last time I was like, okay, hold on. How did you hear of what he was preaching? You saw his ideas. How did you let him to get to that point to get into office? Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that that's how he got office. Mm-hmm. I thought you understand?
Yeah.
I understand there was an economical problem and he
just took advantage of that time too. Yeah.
But it's crazy to hear somebody's ideology. His whole idea. Say, listen, I'm gonna annihilate a certain set of people, and they got the opportunity to get there to do it.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Wow.
Many Jews attempted to flee the country, though their options of where to go were very limited. In September of 1939, Germany invaded Poland, officially beginning World War II. In the wake of German military expansion, a campaign of mass murder was carried out on the Jewish population. In towns and villages occupied by the German army, German military and police units, the most infamous being the SS, were instructed to carry out a war of annihilation on the Jews. Nazi soldiers, often with the help of local collaborators, rounded up Jewish men, women, children, and the elderly, took them to mass graves, and shot them to death, murdering roughly 2 million Jews within just a few years. To separate and control the Jewish population, the Nazis forced Jews into ghettos, small areas of cities and towns that were walled off from the rest of society. In 1941, it became law that Jews were required to wear a Star of David to identify them at all times. Disease in the ghettos spread like wildfire, and starvation was rampant. In January of 1942, Nazi leadership and representatives from various government ministries met at what came to be known as the Wannsee Conference to coordinate their efforts toward the efficient annihilation of the Jewish people, known as the Final Solution.
It's heartbreaking how someone could be so cruel. So cruel, have a deep hatred for somebody, a deep hatred for a group of people. It's just disgusting.
It's normally you hear of racism.
Yeah.
You think about blacks. You ever notice that? Black people it's just always steer towards black. But this was racist to another set group of people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was on another level. Can you imagine killing people for no reason at all? Because you don't like them, you dislike them.
Deportations to the death camps became the Nazi regime's primary tactic of mass murder. Jews were sent in cattle cars to places like Belzec, Sobibor, and Treblinka, forced into chambers they were told were showers, and gassed to death. Some camps, such as the infamous Auschwitz-Birkenau complex, doubled as labor and death camps, where Jews were forced to work and were then sent to the gas chambers to be murdered. This assembly line of mass murder continued for years, with thousands of Jews murdered every day. In the midst of this mass murder and destruction, despite impossible odds and relentless brutality, many Jews resisted. In the ghettos and camps, prisoners carried out acts of sabotage, smuggled weapons, and organized uprisings. Some fled to the forests, where they formed partisan units, bands of guerrilla fighters that often included both Jewish and non-Jewish fighters united against Nazism. These partisan units blew up trains, sabotaged Nazi operations, and fought head-to-head against German soldiers. Uprisings were waged in numerous ghettos.
Now that I did not know that they were retaliating back in this level, which is good. I did not know they were fighting back.
Oh, okay.
I did not know that when I was learning this in history.
But you don't get so much details either.
No, yeah, they go into as much as they can, but they gotta move on. They don't really dive deep into like this.
And she grew up in the U.S. school system,
Yeah.
guys. So much less me in Jamaica, grew up in we're not, like I said before, a country does not necessarily focus on the history of other countries. It focuses on its own history.
And that should be common sense, because it's common. Like even America, we talk about brain history, but we don't go deep into, we're going to our own history and who we are.
Exactly.
Like you guys.
So seeing this and hearing this is like shocking.
Yeah. Because some people don't know. We truly, honestly don't know. It's not that they're dumb. They weren't taught it.
And a lot of people tend to say, okay, well, they need to read more. And nobody's not gonna just walk up and pick up a history book.
No. And even to say that, like, if they didn't know this, you probably would know about their own country, what's going on. You would know a thing too. So that doesn't make it, it's not to excuse it, but it's just like, show some grace, guys. Show some grace.
It's crazy.
Ghettos, including in Krakow, Vilna, Bialystok, and Minsk. Spiritual resistance was also present throughout the ghettos and camps. Through observing holidays, studying Torah, upholding Jewish values, creating art, writing poetry, singing songs, Spiritual resistors maintained dignity and upheld the strength of the human spirit even in the face of violent hatred, cruelty, and dehumanization. Throughout 1943 and 1944, the Nazis accelerated their genocidal plan. Ghettos were liquidated, and Jews from all corners of Nazi-occupied Europe were deported to death camps and murdered. Finally, in 1945, the Russian army reached and liberated Auschwitz. US forces crossed the Rhine, and by April, Berlin was surrounded. Hitler committed suicide, and Germany unconditionally surrendered to the Allies.
See, one of the things that I keep asking, why did it take so long for somebody else to intervene?
It took years.
They were oppressed for so many years. Slaughtered
Millions of lives.
for years.
Millions.
Kids.
Yeah, kids. That's the sad. Kids that are innocent.
And you're telling me it took that long for anybody to intervene, to stop this madness?
It's messed up and sad.
My heart hurts every time I hear this.
By the end of the tragic war, roughly 6 million Jews and 5 million others, including Roma, Poles, homosexuals, the disabled, communists, and political dissidents, had been murdered by Nazis. Villages.
I'm going to pause here. This I did not know. I thought it was just Jews.
Yeah. Okay,
I didn't know there were gypsies,
the disabled,
the homosexuals. I had no clue that they were targeted as well, you know.
They just want to wipe out those that they just did not fit into what they wanted. Yeah, which is crazy. It's disgusting.
Can you imagine how these people were treated, man? How poorly they were treated?
Really bad. I remember in class, there's this one video of this guy in the history book. A bunch of them are very malnourished, but there's one particular one that I remember. It was like a young man, very malnourished, skin and bones, literally skin and bones. And they told him they were going to go take a shower. You're going to get washed up, but they were in the shower chambers.
Was it gas chamber?
Yeah, sorry, gas chamber. Sorry.
Oh God, my heart hurts.
So sad.
I'm like, if you can't be good, man, don't do nothing at all. That's how I look at life. If you can't love somebody and you can't be good, keep yourself to yourself and leave people alone.
It's very demonic. It makes, how cruel of a person must you be to do that to other people?
And then you're giving this instruction to your subordinates, and they're carrying it out.
No one's like, hold up. They probably a few. I'll show some grace. Were like, this is bad. Because remember that some of them were like, this is bad. They just told what they were supposed to do. That was some of their excuse after the because some of them were prosecuted. Some of the officers.
Ah, Jesus have mercy. It just I am just
Cities and towns throughout Europe that were once home to flourishing Jewish communities were now empty of them. Survivors of the concentration and death camps who tried to return home often found their property seized by their non-Jewish neighbors. With no recourse for reclaiming their homes or possessions, they became refugees, many ending up in displaced persons camps before moving on to form what have since become flourishing Jewish communities in the Americas and the land of Israel. The Holocaust was a brutal campaign of persecution and mass murder carried out by the Nazis and their collaborators in an effort to systematically annihilate the entire European Jewish population. The scale of death and destruction is unfathomable. But Jewish communities have since worked tirelessly to care for survivors, name the lost, build and strengthen Jewish life around the world, and educate younger generations about the horrors of the Holocaust, so that it never happens again.
It's crazy to me. These people had normal lives. I know I get teared up, but I can't help it. I'm like, they were living their normal life, not bothering a soul. From the gypsies to the disabled to the they had a normal way of life, and then somebody just swoop in and disrupt everything. You got this place. Look at all these babies. Just looking at these babies, knowing having my 5 kids. Every time I look at something like this, it doesn't matter what video. Just looking at kids and all, my heart feel like it's just ripping if they're being ill-treated. You know, and I'm like, how can you just look at somebody and say, listen, you don't deserve to live? How? I cannot wrap my mind around it at all.
Neither can I.
You calling people parasites. They tell you want to wipe out, and look. Have you ever noticed a Jewish person how nice they are? I've run into so many Jewish persons here, and their temperament is so beautiful. It's like they're so soft spoken. They're or to speak, I'll give you a hug. All is well with the world. No, I'm serious. It's just that's what I get. And to know that they've been pushed aside like, oh, I love you, Jews. I'm just put it that way. I love everybody, but I'm so sorry that happened to you guys. I am so sorry. And I know I can't take it back, but oh my God. And I'm happy that they make sure you never forget.
Yeah, that's important. You got to know your history. Like, it shouldn't be forgotten. Like, oh, that happened. Even though it happened years ago, like, we should not forget what happened.
And even though it happened to them and their ancestors, they're not bitter. This is what I'm getting to. They are not bitter. They're not bitter people. You ever notice? Think about it.
I never looked at it that way. I never have.
That's what I look at.
Like a resentment, I've never.
You don't hear them being bitter. That's something to look at. You know what I mean? Guys, it's an island girl. I keep saying island girl because I'm so used to my other channel. It's Sin and Z, and we're going out of here. Yes. My heart, my love, our love is heading your way, and my kids will be learning this full hand. Not the tips that they're getting in school, but I'll give them the full. Because right now I have books, thanks to one of my regular schmegler who sent me Anne Frank book that I'm reading at this time. I've watched the Schneider's List. I think that's how you pronounce it. Oh God.
Schneider's.
Oh,
it's the movie?
Oh God. We can't get into that because I'll be hollering and nose running. And I love you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. We're heading out of here. Let us know if there's something else that you want us to check out. We got you. You know? Yeah, we're still dumbfounded. But yeah.
Thank you guys. Have a good night. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.